My name is Ethel Alden. I'm 18 years old, and for most of my life, I've been a supporting character in a story that was never written for me. From the outside, my family looked like the warm suburb success story people brag about on holiday cards: white fence, trimmed hedges, a dog named Jasper who posed better than any of us. Church friends always said we were such a balanced household. What they meant, though they never knew, was that my older brother Ryan filled every room, and I filled whatever space he left behind. Ryan was 2 years older, captain of everything, golden boy of anything. There was always noise around him: cheers, stories, applause, pride. My parents, Thomas and Melissa Alden, orbited him like gravity. Me? I learned early that silence kept the house from tipping. I still remember standing in the yard at Dad's summer barbecue, clutching my writing award, first place in the regional short fiction contest. I waited for a moment where someone would pause long enough to hear me say, "Look what I did." But every conversation looped back to Ryan's game-winning goal the night before. Mom patted my shoulder and whispered, "Later, sweetheart." Later never showed up. That was always the pattern. His triumphs were headlines. Mine were footnotes. When Ryan won a trophy, it lived on the mantel until the gold dulled. When I won a spelling bee, the ribbon went into a drawer because it was clutter. I don't think my parents ever meant to make me invisible. They just didn't notice when I faded. When Mom asked what I wanted for my 18th birthday, I said something small: lights in the backyard, a playlist of my favorite songs, a lemon cake with strawberries, just a handful of my friends. For once, I wanted a moment that felt like mine. She smiled, touched my cheek, and said, "Ethel, you deserve that. We'll make it special." I let myself believe her. For weeks, we planned everything together: the colors, the food, even a banner that said, "Happy 18th, Ethel." I held the banner in my hands the day it arrived, the letters glittering under the kitchen lights. Just that small detail felt like a miracle. I didn't know the banner would end up rolled in a drawer, never used, or that the night meant to celebrate me would be the night I finally understood what my family truly saw when they looked at me. Nothing. Ryan arrived home 2 weeks early, unexpectedly. He'd dropped out of college after only one semester. "College isn't for me," he announced proudly, as if it were a brave choice rather than a consequence. Dad just clapped him on the back and said, "At least you figured it out early. No disappointment here." No questions, no concern, nothing but celebration. That night, Mom made steak, mashed potatoes, and his favorite pie. Meanwhile, I ate ramen in my room the night before because I was saving money for a new camera. By morning, the entire house had recentered itself around him. His trophies returned to the mantel, his room reclaimed. Even Jasper abandoned sleeping by my door to curl up beside Ryan's bed. He had a way of walking into a room and rearranging the world. A few days later, I walked into the living room and found Mom flipping through old photo albums with him. Ryan laughed. "Remember my 18th birthday? That was wild. We should do it again." Mom perked up instantly. "That's actually a great idea." I froze at the doorway. "What do you mean, do it again?" Mom looked surprised, as if she'd forgotten I was in the house. "Oh, sweetie, we were thinking of combining the celebrations, yours and Ryan's, a joint event. I'm not turning 18 again," I whispered. Ryan chuckled. "Relax, Ethel. It's just a vibe." Dad added from the couch, "One party's cheaper than two. Makes sense." Makes sense. The phrase that had always excused their favoritism. I went upstairs, my pulse shaking in my throat. The changes came slowly, like tiny surgical cuts. My playlist? Too mellow. Replaced with Ryan's old soccer warm-up tracks. The lights I picked? Too dim. Swapped for bright neon strips in his team's colors. My guest list? Too long. Trimmed down because we don't want too many people. And the cake? My lemon strawberry cake was replaced with chocolate, his favorite. I kept trying to tell myself it didn't matter. Sharing is fine. Compromise is fine. But then, the banner, the one that destroyed whatever part of me still believed I mattered. I was carrying drinks outside when I saw Mom and Ryan hanging a long gold banner across the fence. Ryan's 21st do-over. No mention of me, not even a small happy birthday Ethel squeezed in the corner. My throat tightened. "Where's the banner we made?" I asked. Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, sweetheart. Ryan thought this one looked cleaner, less confusing." "Confusing for who?" I asked. She sighed. "Don't make this a big deal, Ethel. Everyone knows it's your birthday, too." But they didn't, and she didn't care enough to notice. The night of the party, the backyard was full of Ryan's friends. Loud, smoky, chaotic energy that had nothing to do with me. My small group of friends stood awkwardly to the side. Even Liam, my boyfriend, looked uncomfortable. He squeezed my hand gently. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I lied. His ex-girlfriend, Chloe, lingered near the drinks table, glaring as if my existence offended her. She'd always viewed me as a placeholder. Tonight she watched me like she was waiting for me to break. Then Ryan climbed onto a chair, raising his drink. "Thanks for coming, everyone. Turning 21 again feels good." Laughter, cheers, camera flashes. And huge thanks to my family for making this happen. He didn't mention me, not once, not even a passing, and happy birthday to my sister. That was it, my moment gone, rewritten to belong to him. I felt something collapse silently inside me. I turned to Liam. "I'm going home," I said. "Want me to come?" I shook my head. "No, it's fine." But it wasn't. I walked out. No one noticed, not even my parents. The house was quiet, the faint smell of barbecue smoke clinging to me. I sat on my bed in the dark, my hands trembling. Then my phone buzzed. Liam texting me, "I'm here if you want to talk." And Chloe, seconds later, "Told you he'd forget you. He always does." Her words sliced deeper than she knew, not because she was right about Liam, but because she echoed what I'd always feared. My own family forgot me too. 3 days passed. No calls, no texts, nothing. Until my friend sent me a screenshot from the family group chat. "Ryan, she ruined my night. Dad, she'll crawl back when real life hits her." I stared at the screen, something cold and steady flooding through me. Not anger, not sadness, clarity. If they wanted proof, I'd crawl back. I'd give them the opposite. That night, I opened my laptop, enrolled in early dorm move-in, and began packing. The cursor blinked at me, waiting. I opened a blank document and typed the first line. "Sometimes silence isn't peace, it's erasure." I didn't know it yet, but that sentence would become the beginning of everything. My dorm room smelled like industrial detergent and lonely beginnings. A single flickering fluorescent light buzzed overhead, casting shaky shadows across the bare mattress. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. A space no one could overwrite or rename or hand to my brother because he needed it more. For the first time, the silence didn't suffocate me. It healed. Those first weeks of college, I barely spoke to anyone. I sat in the back of every lecture, writing quietly, observing, habits I'd perfected in a home where being invisible was a requirement. My notebook filled with fragments, overheard conversations, tiny moments, small heartbreaks, things people looked past without realizing they were stories. Then came the class that would change everything. Introduction to Film Production. Our professor, Jonathan Harris, walked in wearing a sweater dotted with coffee stains like constellations. He read my first mini-script and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen directed at me before. "You write," he said, "like someone who's been watching their whole life. That's rare. Don't lose it." I stared at him, stunned. No one had ever called anything about me rare. He handed my paper back, tapped the margin, and murmured, "Quiet stories are the loudest when they're true." That sentence lodged itself inside me like a seed. After class, a guy with messy hair and a sketchbook tucked under his arm jogged up beside me. "Hey," he said, slightly breathless. "You're Ethel, right? I'm Hayden Sharp. I saw your script. You have this quiet fury. I love it." I blinked at him. "Quiet fury?" "Yeah, like everything's calm, but actually you might set the room on fire if pushed." He grinned. "Want to join film club? We need someone who can actually write." It wasn't romance, just the first time someone saw me without comparing me to Ryan. So I nodded. Film club met in a forgotten classroom filled with broken tripods and dreams held together with duct tape. Hayden drew storyboards on napkins. Twins Mika and Jordan argued about camera angles every meeting. I'd never felt more strangely at home. It was chaotic, imperfect, and beautifully mine. I worked 2 part-time jobs to afford classes, a morning tutoring shift, and weekend cafe hours. Sleep became a rumor. But freedom? It tasted like $12 coffees, scarred fingertips, and a secondhand laptop I guarded like a newborn. My parents texted occasionally. "How's school? Need anything?" I responded the same way every time. "I'm fine." I never told them about 5:30 a.m. shifts or the nights I edited until my hands hurt. I never told them that fine meant exhausted, broke, and determined. Because I wanted everything I built to belong to me, not a family who only saw me when it was convenient. Then November came, and with it, the past. Late one cold night, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You think you're better than us now?" The tone was unmistakable. Ryan. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, You left mom crying. You embarrassed dad. You're playing the victim again. I turned my phone off. But Ryan didn't stop. He switched accounts. He sent screenshots of my scholarship announcement with comments like, "Guess you'll be living in a cardboard box soon. Enjoy your career, princess." He wanted a reaction. I gave him silence. A week later, my friend Nora texted me a screenshot from the family group chat. "Ryan, she's acting like she's above us now." "Mom, don't say that. She's just figuring things out." "Dad, let her. She'll crawl back when rent hits her." That line again. Like a prophecy they were desperate to manifest. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I opened my laptop and typed one sentence. Sometimes silence is just preparation. That was the moment I knew exactly what story I needed to write. I poured myself into a script the way people pray, recklessly, desperately, completely. I called it Second Daughter. It followed a girl who'd spent her whole life as background noise, who finally realized she didn't need anyone's permission to speak. I didn't romanticize anything. I didn't embellish. I wrote the truth the way I lived it, quietly, painfully, and without apology. When I handed the draft to Professor Harris, he read it twice, then looked up with glassy eyes. "This isn't just a script, Ethel," he whispered. "It's a confession." He pushed me, gently, insistently, to submit it for a student fellowship that funded short film projects. I hesitated. "It's too personal." Hayden nudged my elbow. "If it scares you, it's honest. Submit it." So I did. 2 weeks later, an email subject line nearly made me drop my phone. "Congratulations, Ethel Alden." I'd been selected. My hands shook so badly I had to sit down. For a moment, I almost called my parents. Then I remembered the banner, the party, the silence. I texted my friend instead. Guess who's getting a grant to tell the story they ignored? Production began that spring. Our crew consisted of film club members, borrowed equipment, a thrift store wardrobe budget, and enough coffee to kill a mortal. We filmed in empty dorm rooms, quiet streets, and the diner down the block that smelled like nostalgia and burnt toast. The story came alive in ways I didn't expect, on shaky cameras, with soft lighting, and with performances that were raw because they came from students who knew what it meant to go unseen. Everyone assumed it was fiction. They didn't need to know that every frame was autobiography. By the time we edited the final cut, I was running on caffeine and adrenaline. Hayden watched me staring at the screen one night. "You okay?" I whispered. I finally said what needed to be said. He nodded softly. "That's why it matters." We submitted it to a regional student festival. I expected, at best, a small screening. Instead, Second Daughter made the finals. At the festival, the audience was silent during the credits. Then applause rose up, soft, then swelling like a wave. Word spread quickly. A local producer named Alex Turner approached me afterward. "You've got a voice that cuts through the noise," he said. "Ever considered going bigger?" I didn't know how to respond, so I just smiled. That weekend, the film won Best Short and Best Screenplay. And like clockwork, Ryan found it. He didn't text me. He posted a Facebook rant about certain people exploiting family drama for sympathy. It got 11 likes, one of them from Dad. Then Mom called. Her voice trembled. "Ethel, people are asking questions. They think the film is about us." I stayed silent. "We just wish you would have warned us," she whispered. "Warned them about what? My truth?" I hung up without answering. The next morning, Hayden sent me a link. Local filmmaker exposes family neglect in award-winning short. There was my face, my name, and a still from the film, a girl sitting alone at a birthday party that wasn't hers. Neighbors shared it. Teachers commented heart emojis. My hometown was talking about me for the first time. Then an email from the department chair arrived. "We'd like to screen Second Daughter at the annual alumni gala in Westwood." My hometown. Their backyard. I agreed instantly. Then I bought 3 extra tickets under the names. Thomas Alden, Melissa. Alden, Ryan Alden. Hayden looked at me in disbelief. "You're seriously inviting them?" "I'm not inviting," I said quietly. "I'm informing." "And if they don't come?" "They will," I whispered. "They can't resist an audience." And for the first time in my life, I felt ready for them to look at me. The night of the gala, I stood outside the Westwood Community Theater, a place where I'd sat through countless ceremonies celebrating Ryan, but never once myself. The old marquee lights flickered overhead, buzzing like nervous energy in the air. My name glowed faintly across the sign. Second Daughter, written and directed by Ethel Alden. For a moment, I just watched the letters. They didn't shrink. They didn't disappear. They didn't get replaced with Ryan's name. They stayed, solid, undeniable. Hayden walked up beside me, jiggling the microphone cable in his hands. "You okay?" As okay as someone about to voluntarily screen her trauma in front of the people who caused it, I said. He grinned. So, terrified? Terrified, I echoed. Inside, guests were filtering in. Professors, alumni, locals who recognized me from the article, and a few people who whispered my name like they weren't sure they were pronouncing it right. Then I saw them, my parents and Ryan, row 5, center seats, perfect view. Mom wore her guidance counselor smile, tight, polite, ready to manage appearances. Dad looked stiff, shoulders rigid. Ryan slumped back, bored already. Of course they came. They never missed a chance to control a narrative. The lights dimmed, the room quieted. Someone tapped the mic. I stepped onto the stage. Hi, I said, voice steady. My name is Ethel Alden. I wrote and directed Second Daughter. It's a story about silence, how it can be gentle or violent, how it can erase people without ever raising a hand. I hope you find honesty in it. A pause, a breath. Then the projector flickered to life. The first frame appeared, a backyard glowing with golden light. A birthday banner hung crookedly, Ryan's 21st do-over. Laughter echoing for someone else. The camera panned to a girl sitting alone on the edge of the frame, hands folded in her lap, a forced smile, a paper plate with a single slice of untouched chocolate cake. A few people in the audience gasped softly. Mom straightened, Dad leaned forward, Ryan's jaw tightened. Scene after scene unfolded. A dinner table where only one child's successes were discussed. A mother telling her daughter, don't be dramatic. A father saying, she's the quiet one, that's her role. A birthday banner rolled into a drawer. A text message, she'll crawl back when real life hits her. The atmosphere grew heavy, the theater silent, except for the hum of the projector. Then came the final scene, the one that always hit me hardest. A girl standing outside a house lit by party lights, her breath trembling in the cold night air. She whispered to the camera, they didn't forget me. They just didn't care enough to remember. Fade to black. No music, no soft transition, just silence. Then applause, one person, then another, then the whole room rising like a wave crashing to shore. People stood, clapping harder as each second passed. I stood in the back, watching my family stand too, not because they wanted to, but because everyone else did. For the first time, I wasn't in the frame. They were. Outside under the marquee, the night air cold and sharp, I finally let myself exhale. I didn't hear my mother approach until she said my name. Ethel. Her voice trembled, not angry, not annoyed, uncertain. That was a lot, she whispered. I didn't answer. You could have come to us. We would have listened. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing but clarity. I did come to you, I said softly. You called it drama. Her mouth opened, closed. She searched for the counselor tone but couldn't find it. Is that really how you remember it? She asked. Yes, and the sad part is, you don't. Her eyes filled, not with understanding, but disbelief. Dad joined her, arms crossed, face stony. He looked at me like I was a stranger. Then Ryan stepped out from behind them. You happy now? He snapped. You made us look like monsters. I stared at him, calm, steady. I didn't make you anything, I said. I just pressed play. He scoffed, shaking his head. All this to prove you're better than me. No, I said, all this to prove I existed. For a moment, the three of them stood frozen under the theater lights, 3 silhouettes in a story they no longer controlled. I turned away, leaving them behind as the marquee hummed above me, spelling out my name again and again. The next morning, my inbox overflowed. Messages from strangers, classmates, professors. Your film made me cry. I saw my daughter in your story. Thank you for saying what we couldn't. Each message felt like a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for years. Meanwhile, word spread through Westwood. Nora texted first. Your mom took leave from the school. People are talking. Then, Ryan's ranting online again. No one cares. He's getting dragged. I didn't smile because of their suffering. I smiled because for once, their noise couldn't reach me. And then came the email that changed everything. From Alex Turner. Producer. Subject. Let's talk future projects. You have a rare voice, he wrote. I want to develop something with you. My voice. The one I'd been told was too small, too dramatic, too sensitive. Now people called it rare. Liam showed up at my dorm that weekend, holding a box of lemon strawberry pastries, the cake flavor I never got. I watched your film, he said softly. I didn't know it was that bad. It's fine, I murmured. Ethel, it wasn't fine. Behind him, Chloe stood near the hallway, arms crossed, jealousy sharp on her face. She'd always assumed I'd lose Liam the way I lost everything else. I took his hand anyway. Some things, I said, I'm done losing. Chloe's expression cracked. For once, I didn't care. I let Liam pull me into a hug, and this time I didn't shrink to make space for someone else's feelings. Months passed. Opportunities grew. Film club became family. And on my next birthday, I lit a single candle in my tiny apartment. No cake, no party, no overshadowing brother. Just one flame. Small, steady, enough. Because sometimes the smallest light can burn down an entire false story. My family built their world around Ryan, but I wrote the ending. And this time, the credits rolled my name.